All right, guys, we made it through the training. Let's talk about hiring a setter. Um, there's a couple things I wanted to touch on. First thing here is we should only be hiring a setter once you have mastered this setting yourself. Your goal should be to duplicate the working system, not confuse people. So we don't want the outcome to be somebody that comes in and they don't know what to do because you don't know what to do, or you don't know if they're doing it right because you don't know if it works yourself. Okay. The second point here is the job of a setter is to qualify leads and to organize leads and to move them around and to book calls. It's not to generate leads. If we are not getting good quality leads in the messages, that has nothing to do with the setter. That has to do with the marketing. We have to go back at our marketing and look at why it is that we're getting these type of leads. What ad campaign they're coming from, things like that. Um, we have to train the setters with the process, with the proven script, and how to use their tone and the process that we're using it. Otherwise, if we give them free reign to do whatever, you'll realize that we have a bunch of conversations, but they don't ever go into book calls. The way that we have set up the framework, it asks enough questions to get the information that we need and make them interested enough to book a call. Okay. If there's ever a time that we're getting off script, we always kind of have to bring it back to the main script so that we can close that conversation out. One of the things that you should be looking for is if you're spending all day setting, um, then okay, it might be time to hire a setter. But we should also take into consideration that this is going to be the setter's livelihood. They're only going to make money if they book calls, and they can't book calls if the lead quality is no good. If everybody that's coming in is a 500, 600 credit score, you're not going to have any book calls. You can't get upset at the setter for that. If everybody coming in is 700, 800, and you don't have any book calls, then yes, you need to take a look at your setter and you need to take a look at the conversations and, take a look at the follow up, things like that, and see why are these people not showing up to the calls, or why are they not even booking? Where are they falling off at? Okay. Setters need live feedback. There's plenty of times where a setter may think that they're doing good, but they're really not. When you first hire somebody, I would at least the first 2 weeks to the first month, you need to be doing Zoom calls daily with that setter and reviewing conversations and saying, hey, look, you said this good, you said this bad. I wouldn't have said this. I would have said it like that. Okay. Until they are answering the conversations the same way that you would answer them, you can't leave them by themselves. Otherwise, you're going to see a dramatic decrease in the amount of book calls that you have. And it's not that the setter is bad, it's they were not taught how to use your system, even if they have prior experience. Okay. So it's always a good idea to give them as much training as possible, allow them to watch all the videos in this community, and let them really have a good idea of what exactly it is that you're doing, that you're selling, and how you do the process. That way they can answer the questions in the DMs accordingly. It's hard to tell somebody about something that you know nothing about. Okay. So at the same time, the setter's goal shouldn't just be to remain the setter, it should be to move up to a closer. I always recommend that all the closers that you hire should go through the setting process. That way you understand how people are responding, why they're coming in, what their needs are, what they're looking for. All of that is great information for when you're doing the closing. You have all of that to use as ammunition because you did the closing, you did the setting as well. So you already know all the answers to all their questions. You already know all their pain points, and you already know how to help them. The sales call should just be letting them explain their frustrations, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and then you offer a solution. It's really simple. So when it comes to hiring a setter, what are some of the things that we should look for as far as somebody that will be good for the job? Um, every setter is going to need to be trained with your process, but we want to see if they have good communication skills, if they have at least basic knowledge of the credit system. Um, that they need to know not to be robotic. They need to be able to have some common sense, be able to hold the conversation. Okay. I feel like most people can be taught how to do this. They just need to have the willingness to learn. It is not hard. We're just asking questions. We pretty much have the script. It's kind of just monotonous. Okay, so we need somebody that can work from home, that has some free time, at least 4 or 5 hours slot within the day, to get this done. Okay. And then as far as throughout the day, you guys can set your own schedule, but as long as they're checking up on it, I let them do what they need to do throughout the day. Um, we're also going to look for somebody who has quick response time, who's coachable, they have good energy, accountability, they're consistent. Some of the biggest red flags are the people that know it all. If they, oh, I've done this, I know what to do, that they're trying to reinvent the system, trying to do their own thing. That's not what you hired them for. You want somebody who can listen, follow directions, and just do a couple of basic things. Okay. Um, you're gonna have to show them how you like the labeling done, or maybe you'll leave it up to them on how they want to use the labeling in Instagram, to keep track of their messages as far as the IG labels. But you'll have to show them how to use your Go High Level system, where to find the hot leads at, where to find everything at. Okay. If you don't give them this information and you just leave them to themselves, they're not going to perform the way that you want them to perform, and you're just wasting everybody's time, and you're going to end up losing a lot of money in the process. Okay. Anytime that you hire somebody, don't expect it to be like, oh, well, I just grab you and put you here and leave you to yourself, and you can do everything exactly how I was doing it. It's not going to work like that. Make sure that they know exactly what their job is. Make sure they know their times, their schedules, what they're required to do, what you expect of them. Um, put it all up front so that way there is no questions about it later. Okay. Now, one of the things that I would recommend before you even hire a setter is hiring a VA. Now, a VA is somebody that works or lives in another country, usually, the Asia or South America. I like to use, I have several VAs that are from the Philippines that I like to use. And what they do is I will hire them for anywhere from, 100 to 200 bucks a week. And what they do is they respond to all the likes, the comments, the followers, and they respond to the first two messages that come in. So they'll send the hey, thanks for reaching out. Can we ask you some questions message? And then they'll also send the okay, thanks. So what's your business and what's your credit score message? If they say that their credit score is over 700, then the VAs are trained to move that over to the primary section and leave it for either you or an American trained setter to respond to. The VAs are really great at doing all the monotonous stuff. I don't trust them so much as far as answering the messages because it's because of the language barrier and because it's financial, stuff with credit cards and things like that. I always prefer an American setter so that way they can communicate better. But all of the likes, comments, follows, unsend, resend, in the first two messages, all of that can be done by a VA, which really that takes the majority of the work off of your guys' plate. And then you can just answer the quality messages and do sales calls. And then once those quality messages become too much, then you can hire a setter to answer those quality messages. I believe that's the best way to do it. So that way you're not killing your budget. You're not hiring a setter when it's too early and you can't afford to pay them, or you don't have the consistent flow coming in yet to where they can book quality leads. And at the same time, it alleviates some of the stress off of the setter. So that way it's less monotonous stuff that they have to do. And they can mainly focus on having quality conversations. Okay. All right, guys. So that's about it. Hopefully when you are ready to hire a setter, you've already gone through all of this yourself, so that way you can impart all of this information into the person that you're hoping to fill up your calendar with booked calls. And remember, a well-trained setter is a weapon. They're an asset to your company. They're going to make sure that you have nothing but qualified leads on your calendar, ready and eager to buy. And there's nothing better than that. Um, so if you're not willing to take the time to train somebody to make sure that it is done correctly, then don't hire anybody yet. Okay. I say this to save you guys some headache and some time. I've seen it with other accounts. There's a couple of things that need to be in place. Our systems need to be in place. The quality of the messages need to be in place before we're able to hire a setter. And then when it comes time to hiring, we can talk about commissions and the pay structure. Um, Depending on the amount of work and the task that you are giving them, I would either do a 25 to $50 per call that shows up that they spoke to and had a hand in dealing with, and then anywhere from like 3 to 5% commission for the setter. Okay, and that should be paid out on a weekly basis. So that way everybody is incentivized and everybody is paid on time and everybody can live. So that's all that I have for now, guys. I hope this helped. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be always willing to do a Zoom call or anything with anybody in order to give some advice. But thank you. Have a good one.